Hello everyone, and thank you for watching the Irish Streaming Yard presented by Smith Built Homes. I'm Manny Mount, and I'm now joined by Coach Matthews. Coach, thanks for being with me today.
Thanks for having me, Andy. I appreciate it.
Well, you guys just won a state championship game for 4A. Congratulations on that. How were you guys able to come together after starting 2-4 to win out the rest of the season and then win against some really good teams?
Well, I think looking back at the season, it was probably a combination of reasons. The first and foremost is we got a great group of young men, outstanding character, who showed great perseverance and resiliency and never quit, never gave up, when a lot of teams would have. 2-4, you probably look at even NFL teams and some college teams that would mean the end of their season. These guys hung with it, believed in the process, and just kept fighting. And extremely proud of that. On top of that, last year we were 9-0. Kind of ripped through the regular season, and then in the playoffs and towards the end of the regular season even, I thought we started to run out of gas a little bit. And we made a decision as a coaching staff to take it a little bit lighter this year in fall camp. Thought it might sacrifice a few games early. Didn't think we'd be 2-4. But like I said, all credit goes to these young men and how they hung tough and kept fighting. And at the end, ended up being an outstanding football team. And in my opinion, one of the top football teams in the state. Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about the players. Obviously, they were down after starting 2-4. But how were the coaches, you and all the assistants, how were you guys feeling? And what game was it that you guys felt that this team could win a state championship?
I think coaches, you just show up and you try to do your job the best you can every day. And every year is different, every team is different, every season is different. But that's our job, is to show up and work as hard as we can every day. The hard part were the Monday meetings, going in there and trying to make sure that the team still believes. And to be honest with you, it sounds crazy to say, even coming home from Belfry, we were still practicing great, and the dividends weren't really showing on Friday night. But I never really lost hope in this team, and you can just tell by the way we practiced and how we continued to get better that even though the results weren't on the field, we were a young team. People lose sight of that how many guys we lost off last year's team, and so even as early as the Belfry, Kentucky, we were talking about the state championship amongst ourselves in the locker room, and I think all of us really believed it was a very attainable goal.
And before the season, we talked about how we're going to be playing on the road at Belfry and CPA. Those were state championship teams, and now we're going to be able to call ourselves state champions. How do you think the guys are going to be able to play next year, and what's the team going to look like?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult to repeat. It has its own sets of challenges. You hope the guys aren't overconfident and continue to work hard, because one of the reasons we got to this point was by, in our opinion, outworking our opponent. We try to do that each and every week, and it starts in January in the off season. And so that's a challenge. It's very difficult to repeat as champions. You see very few teams in the NFL do it, or in college. It's a very difficult thing to do. In high school, you see more of it. But it'll be a challenge for us. We've got an extremely tough schedule, and we do have a lot of returners, and I think we do have great leadership on this team. And so those are positives, but coming January, we'll get in the weight room and we'll go to work.
So this was your third year as a coach here at Knoxville Catholic. How have things changed since the very first game for you?
Well, it's different. The way we do things, I think, is now entrenched in our program. And that's good and bad. Sometimes the newness of my first year here, I think a lot of guys are excited about that, and now it's just kind of old hat. So that'll be one of my job as coaches one of our job as coaches is to put some newness into things we do, and we did a little bit of that this year, and we'll do some more next year as well. But it's changed dramatically from the players that we have now. And we got some high D1 players and things like that, and even some other guys are extremely talented. Whereas my first year, I think it was more of heart and guts, and now we do still have a ton of heart on this team, but also some very talented football players.
And talking about this past season, just winning state championship is a huge goal, but there were so many records broken by different players on the team. Obviously, we talk about Amari Rogers breaking all his records, but who are some players this year that outperformed of what you thought they would be able to do?
You know, a big one that pops into mind, it was a transfer student from Jefferson County, Hunter Counts. Kind of an unsung guy, but what he does is an extremely difficult position to play. You know, we call it a B-back, fullback. He's got to catch passes. He's got to be able to run the ball some to keep the defense honest and give up himself and play unselfish football and blocking for everybody else. So he definitely pops to mind. Another one is Josh Brown, a young sophomore that did some really good things for us. Jeffrey Wood was banged up. But I think you saw in the championship game that the type of talent and what he's capable of. The offensive line continued to get better and stronger and played great there in the playoffs. And defensively, that was part going into the year. We lost several defensive linemen. We lost our entire defensive backfield and lost Logan Lacey, an outstanding linebacker. So really we were replacing a lot. And if you look at the stats, we really didn't lose a beat as far as defense. So I thought defensive staff and the defensive players did a great job all year long.
And another player that had had a big role this year was the quarterback, Chase Cunningham. We talked about earlier in the year it was going to be a struggle at the quarterback position, and we went through 3 different quarterbacks. How did that affect the team, and how did Chase show up this year?
Chase was outstanding. You know, once he kind of got his feet wet after a game or two, he really solidified things at that position and just did a great job for us. You know, I'm extremely proud of him. He's very quiet, at least talking to me, but the players really respond to him.
Coach, you have the gold ball behind you. We hope to see some more in the future. Thank you for being with us today. And everyone, thank you for watching the Irish Stream Night presented by Smith Belt Homes. I'm Andy Mountain. Have a great day, and go Irish.